name says it all. I'm Hakeem
Rob.
and today we're going to recap the Manny Pacquiao-Timothy Bradley rematch that happened this past Saturday, April 12th, and we'll get our thoughts and what we think is going to happen next with the two fighters. Probably not a lot because they were top rank, but that's neither here nor there. Go ahead, Rob.
All right, so in this anticipated rematch, we had Manny Pacquiao versus Tim Bradley. This was for Bradley to prove a point that he didn't win, and this is for Manny to avenge a loss in which a lot of people felt he got robbed. Now, the fight, if you didn't know, ended with 116, 114.
No, 112.
112, sorry. 116, 112 scores and 118, 110. Let's get this out of the way. That 118, 110 was BS. I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
Now, personally, I had it 7-5 for Pacquiao. Hakeem had it 7-5 for Bradley. There were a lot of close rounds, and we're going to go into what happened, why those rounds, I guess some of those rounds went the way they were, the strategy of the fights, and what we think they should have did. First of all, Bradley for the first 5, and to me, in my opinion, the first 6 rounds was pretty in control of that fight, even with the close rounds which were given to Pacquiao. He had a good game plan, and it seemed as if he was tiring and confusing Pacquiao the first half of the fight. He was able to effectively work the body, move around, and to actually avoid a lot of Pacquiao's volleys, which should have been the plan throughout the fight, and he should have tried to systematically break Pacquiao down. The one thing about Pacquiao, he is susceptible to body shots and body work, and not only can he get hit, but he actually shows that he feels and, you know, is kind of hurt by those punches, and you can see him kind of slow down in that fight. The problem with that, Bradley did not stick with that body attack. He did not work off the jab like he probably should have for the duration of the fight.
Yeah, and with that, he started to slow down really, like he really started to just go for like one big punch late in the fight, and that's really what kind of pulled it away for Pacquiao. He wasn't really landing that cleanly until maybe 10 through 12.
Mm-hmm.
But with Bradley only throwing one punch at a time and walking around with his hands down trying to bait Pacquiao, I guess. He also sustained a sprained calf or something like
mm-hmm.
that at some point during the fight. Those probably played a factor into it, but it is kind of weird that both times he fought Manny Pacquiao, his foot or something wrong with his leg ends up popping up. Now, I've never heard of a guy getting hit so hard. Well, actually I have, but not too often. But somebody getting hit so hard that their feet get messed up from a punch. And so we gotta give Manny Pacquiao credit on that. Like, he's hitting this guy so precisely or so unexpectedly that he's injuring other parts of his body. Now, a lot of the pre-fight build-up in this fight was Manny's lost his fire, Manny doesn't have it anymore, and a lot of people bought into that. Beforehand, I was really hesitant on my pick, and I couldn't make a pick. Like, I really felt that Pacquiao was the better fighter, but I thought the way Bradley had handled himself in his fights following the first Pacquiao fight, and the confidence he had going in and how he had gotten much better, I thought that he would be able to maybe pull it out. But I still thought Pacquiao was better. And like, people were like, oh, he don't have it anymore, he slipped, blah, blah. I was like, but we have to remember how high up Pacquiao was on the mountain of fighters right now. Like, you got him and Mayweather, they're at the peak. They're the very top of the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you have like the summit, which is like almost the top. Like, if you got like a snow-capped mountain, like the summit is kind of like right there at the where the snow starts, and then you got the peak, the very, very top. Like, Bradley's at that part, and Manny and Floyd are up there at the top. So even if he slipped, he's still better than most people, most other fighters. So that's what made me so hesitant on making a pick. And while I was watching this fight, I was like, oh man, maybe he has lost it. Maybe, you know, he's not looking that great. I think Tim in the first few rounds had a lot to do with that. But we have to give Manny credit for adjusting and making the proper steps and changes in order to swing that fight back in his favor. He's got to get props on that. A lot of people don't give him props on his boxing acumen and his IQ. But he has a very high ring IQ. He wouldn't be around for this long without it. Sorry for the rant. Back to the technical stuff. He really started to hone in on that gameplay that Bradley had, that he was just really going for one punch. So he kind of stayed back a little bit, like, hey, this guy's really trying to get me with one punch. He did hurt me once before. I just need to pile up points. And when he didn't do that in the first fight, where he kind of like was lackadaisical, laissez-faire, I don't really care about this fight, and he only fought in like spurts. This time it was a sustained attack for 3 rounds, which is something that people say he couldn't do anymore. He did it against Brandon Rios. He's done it against Timothy Bradley. Got anything?
I mean, with those one shots, I mean, Bradley did a really good job of countering with that straight right hand, because he hit Pacquiao quite a few times. And again, part of that game plan. But when he started to swing wild, try to go for that home run, we all know Tim Bradley doesn't have the actual blistering knockout power, or even that concussive power that can really get you out of there. So in order to get the knockout, he has to be very precise. The bad thing is when he throws those wild looping shots, it takes precision away.
Right. And I said it in our last video, I thought for both fights that Manny could catch him up the middle when he won wild shots. Now, when he fought Marquez and Provodnikov, those winging shots were very few and far between. So I was like, maybe he's learned from those, from his previous fights to not do that anymore. He's getting a little bit sharper. They started to come back in this fight. I don't know if it was a fatigue factor, the anxiousness of trying to knock Manny out. I don't know. But they came back. Manny started catching them right up the middle. That was one of the things that he needed to do. Now, he did start to affect Bradley later on in the fight when he started getting tired. It seemed like almost like Manny got a second win maybe around like round 7 or 8. Because before that, I was like, it might be possible for Bradley to get this stoppage. He was working the body well. His jab was on point. He was landing some good right hands. And then all of a sudden, he turned into Amir Mansour during the Steve Cunningham fight, where he's just winging power shots from far away, and you could see it a mile away, and Manny was like, nope, you're not going to hit me with that.
Especially with someone with Manny's foot speed and athleticism. Not to say that Timothy Bradley doesn't have any speed or he's not athletic or has good footwork, but Manny, when he has the ability to move on the outside or the circle, you're really not going to catch him. Your best bet is to counter him. And of course, that's what Juan Marquez did extremely well in timing him. And Bradley started timing that right hand. I was very surprised because it came straight up to the middle, and people didn't believe us at the fight party we was at until they showed that slow motion replay where Manny got caught with that straight right hand and the reverb action. Yeah. I mean, that's what it is. I think Bradley, as soon as he said, all right, I think I got him, let's go for that knockout, Pacquiao like, oh, so you want to go for the knockout. Guess what? It's not going to happen. Watch me come straight up the middle and throw these volleys. And at a certain point, when you're throwing that many punches, because there were some times where he was just go for it. I'm going to throw punches as much as I can. First half of the fight, he actually missed quite a few of them. But wearing on to the later rounds, he started landing a bit more, and a bit more. Another thing, I think he might have been trying to save himself for those later rounds because he wasn't quite as active, I guess, rounds 3 through 6 or so, and then you see him kick into another gear again, like you said, about 10 through 12, where it was the championship rounds.
Yeah, and that's the mark of a champion right there. When the chips are down, the fight's close, who's gonna dig deep and pull it out? And we gotta give Manny Pacquiao props for that. I gotta admit, I think that at the fight party we were at, I might have been swayed by a super duper mega Pacquiao fan that was like going crazy after every single thing that anything happened. I don't know what was going on, but it was kind of comical at the same time, but kind of annoying, and it kind of swayed my judging of the fight because I just kind of wanted to upset him. But like when we watched the fight live, I was like, Rob, I think I got a 7-5 for Bradley. But then like I started thinking about the fight afterwards, and I was like, no, I can't see that.
Yeah.
I know when they read the scorecard, I was like, I can definitely see that. And now that I really think about it, I'm like, yeah, that probably would have been my score had I not been trying to piss that random guy off because he was upsetting me because he was ruining my experience.
Now, there was one round where I can see it being 116, 112. There was one round where it was extremely hard to really judge, where I just thought Tim Bradley, and if I'm not mistaken, was it the 9th?
It was like the 9th or 10th round,
where I just think Pacquiao wasn't that active. I think Tim Bradley was able to do more work in that round, but the commentators and it looks like the judges might have given that round to Pacquiao. And again, it was very difficult. I'm not upset about it. I just said personally, I have a 7-5 Pacquiao. Pacquiao did good work. He made great adjustments against Tim, and Tim's game plan or plan B in trying to knock Pacquiao out. Now, with all that being said, I mean, I give full credit to Manny. He looked better than he did in their last fight. Close to what he did in that Marquez fight before he ran into a right hand. Now, do I think he's the Pac of old? No. He is not 07, 08, 09 Pac when he was just bulldozing opponents. He's not that guy anymore. And to be honest, in this Bradley fight, you can tell he's not the same fighter. Still has his hand speed, but he's still a little bit slower, not as active. We're not going to talk about the knockouts because, let's face it, he fought a who's who of chins through his career.
Yeah. And like I said earlier, he doesn't have to be the Manny of old. He can be the Manny of right now and still be pretty successful because the Manny of right now is still better than most fighters out there. And we just have to deal with that. He's not the same guy that he was 4 or 5 years ago. But he's still a damn good fighter. And we have to give him that credit and enjoy what we get from him until he's done. Appreciate that he's still out there giving the best that he has for our entertainment. Because he is one of those guys that goes out there and performs for our entertainment. Like he's not business-minded at all. His team takes care of all that. You will put a contract for him in front of anybody, and he will sign it. He could be fighting me next for all he cares. He just wants to fight and entertain the fans, and we have to commend him for that. As far as what's going to happen next for him, Bob Arum has said that he wants to match him against the winner of Marquez Alvarado.
I'm calling shenanigans. No one wants to see that.
Yeah, I mean, they fought. Marquez and Pacquiao have fought 4 times already. Yes, it will be entertaining, but no, we don't need to see it again. Now, Alvarado,
he's going to get his ass whipped.
Yeah, just what he said. I was going to be kind of nice about it. That's about it right there.
If he went tooth and nail with Brandon Rios. Now, what did Brandon Rios do? Got beat up by Manny Pacquiao. Now, I'm not saying they're the same fighter, but again, peak, and we're going to bypass the summit. There's no snow where he's at. He's still kind of at the, what is that called? I don't know what that's called, but he's not that.
He's somewhere in the middle of the mountain.
Yeah. Tim Bradley, and we got Alvarado.
Right. So that would be a big step down. But I mean, if he were to beat Marquez, that'd be a big feather in his cap. And you know, we gotta respect him for that. But we still don't think that he's on the level of Manny Pacquiao.
And again, let's face it, Marquez doesn't want that fight. He's proved his point. He had 4 chances, 4 times the charm. Let's not make this a Sugar Ray Robinson, Jake LaMotta thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's just
leave it.
Yeah.
Now, as far as Tim Bradley is concerned, we gotta see how long he'll be on the shelf because of his injury. It probably won't be that long. I think they said it was a strained calf, which maybe after about 4 weeks he should be back ready to go. They're talking about maybe placing him against Rios. I think that's actually a very good fight. That's one where he'll be in tough enough to where there's some danger there. But like we said, Tim Bradley is almost at the top of that mountain, so he should be able to still pull out the victory. Another rematch with Provodnikov. He'll probably beat him a little more convincingly this time. Marquez again. There are a lot more options for Bradley than there are for Manny. And unfortunately, that's because of the whole Top Rank Golden Boy Showtime HBO thing, where a lot of the welterweights and junior welterweights fight for Golden Boy. And so his options are slim because he's fought everybody that Bob Arum has, to the point that we're starting to, you know, that they have to talk about Marquez 5 because there's nobody else for him to fight.
I mean, at this point, the only thing they could do is fight someone would say maybe Goose and Tudor, DeBella, who am I missing? Main Events. And they really, I don't think they have a welterweight that's ready to even step up to that level of competition.
Not at all. They had Jesse Vargas just won on the undercard. He won a 140 belt. I think somewhere they're going to try and stick his name in there. I don't think he's ready for that fight at all, but they're going to put him in there because, like I said, they don't have too many people for him to fight. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Manny going forward, because it doesn't matter who he fights. People are going to tune in because, I mean, Manny's like one of those guys, unless you're like an idiot or something like that, like, you got to like the guy. He's a genuinely nice guy. He's a very entertaining fighter. And he's just flawed enough to where somebody might catch him.
I just hope that the next fight they put on with Pacquiao, they have a good undercard.
Yes. Please put on a good undercard. I mean, they've been putting on some terrible undercards for Manny fights for like the last few years. And enough is enough. We got to get this undercard together. It was something that's not only entertaining in the ring, but something you want to look forward to before the fight happens. The Jesse Vargas, Khabib, Al-Khabib, I hope I said that. I think I said that right. But that fight was pretty good. It didn't look like it was going to be good on paper. Like, that's not a one that shouts out, oh, I want to see that. The Ray Beltran, Arash Usmani fight was, man, and I don't even remember who fought in the first fight, but it was
They could have put those two on HBO too before the fight.
Yeah, exactly. But that's it, guys. That's our take on Manny Pacquiao, Tim Bradley 2. Let us know what you guys felt. You got the comment section down below. If you're watching on Facebook, the comment section is still down below. Google Plus, same thing. You guys can shoot us an email, capitalcombat@gmail.com. Let us know what you think, or if you have any questions. Make sure you guys like this video. Make sure you share it with your friends. And if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe, because we got plenty more videos coming. Anything you want to say, Rob?
There are two guys on the network that have a show that come on that probably shouldn't be talking about boxing. Whenever you see them talk about it, turn.
Yeah, we're not going to mention the names because, you know, legal issues. But y'all know who we talking about. That's it, guys. Catch you in the next video. Peace.
This is round one, and you've already lost. They don't seem to see that everything we've done is coming and cost. My fists are on fire. I perform till I perspire. My demons are in a rage. Keep thinking that it's a game. I kick rhyme, hurricane. I told them I don't play. I'm liquid.
Black Street Fighter.